ready? We are ready. Hey, it's the Rec Show podcast, and we're screwing around with wine today. Jeremy is here, the existential wine guy, and he forgot a cork.
I did. Oh, I forgot the
cork.
corkscrew. So,
Right.
I've got a wine to share with everybody. We're going to talk about this a little bit.
Right.
And of course, I forgot the corkscrew at home, and I cannot believe I did this. So we're going old-fashioned with
Right.
some real hardware. You go to any True Value hardware, Ace Hardware, wherever,
Right.
you can get a screwdriver, you can get a screw, and
Right.
whatever this is called. And we'll try to actually open this up a little bit. We'll
He's
see if
like a
this actually
MacGyver.
happens.
The old TV show MacGyver. That's what you're doing right now.
Basically.
Yeah. So we're going to see where this is going here. I have no idea.
I think it's going to go to hilarity.
I do too.
And
That's what I love about it.
wow, yeah. So let's, well, I can do this while we talk.
Okay, you're okay. You're hanging in.
I think that I'm okay. We're going to see if
right,
I can actually pull this off. We'll see.
Right. And this is a very, very expensive bottle of wine that
This
you
is
have.
not an expensive
wait,
bottle
is
of
it?
wine, and we're going to talk about that a little.
Okay,
Because,
all right.
one of the things that I get upset about is the elitism or the
Snobbery?
The snobbery is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
About what wine should be, and how it should be priced, and more than anything else, like when you're going someplace for dinner and you want to bring
Right.
a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
How often have you gone to a Safeway or a Total Wine or whatever,
Right.
and stood in front of the wine aisle
And
and
stared.
just
Stared.
just paralyzed by the choice? Like there's no guide, there's no nothing, and then in the back of your mind, you're thinking to yourself, I want this to be a good bottle of wine.
Right,
I don't
right.
want to be embarrassed by my choice.
Right.
And I think, why do we do this to ourselves?
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
that peer pressure
It's
thing,
that peer
right?
pressure.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big craft beer fan as well.
Right, yeah, me
But
too.
one thing I don't do is walk into a Safeway or wherever I'm buying my beer,
Right.
and stare at the wall
Corona,
for 20 minutes. I know
I
that
don't know what to get.
if there's a halfway decent IPA, I can just grab it real quick and go and share it with my friends.
Yeah, I think.
And
yeah.
nobody, and, why don't we apply that to wine?
Well, I think wine, and something that you and I have both worked on as we've done whatever it is we're doing now. So
Right.
I don't even know what it is, social media, video, podcast,
All that
is
stuff.
kind of making wine more approachable and more, less snobbery.
I think so.
In the sense of.
And one of the
yeah.
really cool things that's happening is just all the young winemakers that are sort of entering
Right.
the field.
Yeah,
Where
a little hipness, yeah.
There's the hipness, and they just they're there to do really interesting and creative things.
Right.
And they're not doing it in a three-piece suit and a tie.
Right.
They're not claiming to be a sommelier.
Right.
They're they're really really interested in what's going on in the wide world, and they just want to make a really great bottle of wine.
Yeah, and I think it's
And-
about the experience, right?
Right.
Of tasting this wine and maybe having some food with this wine to embellish that experience. And,
Yes.
it looks like we might have something
Looks
here.
like we might have something.
We might have a
There
cork.
we go. We might have a cork. But we don't. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. So now I've got to take this out
Yeah, yeah.
and put this other one
So what
in.
Jeremy's trying to do right now is open up a bottle of wine from where? Where did you get this
You know
expensive
what?
bottle?
This expensive bottle of wine. I was looking online, and there was some guy, and I wish I could remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
And what he does is he actually reviews wine from Costco.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Right.
So one thing he was reviewing was this very inexpensive, bottle of Rioja that Kirkland, that Costco
Right.
had put their name on.
Right.
And as it happened, I'm in Costco. I absolutely saw the bottle. I said,
Right.
okay, well, let's give it a try. So
Sure.
I bought 2 bottles.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure,
Right.
it would be a good experience. It was phenomenal. It was
was.
like, $7.99, and it was just a really delicious bottle of wine. Not too pretentious. It wasn't, special occasion wine, but it was certainly very good everyday drinking wine.
Right. Have a
And-
glass with dinner.
And it was one of those things that I went back a couple of times and I should have bought more.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was gone. And then the newest version of that came out. So this is a Kirkland, it's a Rioja. It's a
Rioja.
2015
Okay.
Rioja, which is a Tempranillo that's had a certain amount of time in the barrel and in the bottle, and the total is about 5 years, which is this. So for $7.99, you get a 5-year-old bottle of wine that is just absolutely fantastic. So
Nice.
right now it's just.
Can you grab that over there and we'll put that underneath the bottle?
Oh, yeah.
Just
There we go. Let's
there
do
we go.
that.
There we go.
And eventually I'll get this thing open and
the
we'll try
thing
it.
the thing I find a lot of fun to do, and my wife and I do it all the time, is you're in grocery outlet, you're picking up a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and there's wines obviously you're not familiar with, you haven't tried before. You know, and I think they're like the average bottle is like $4.99, and you can pay more or whatever. But you know, it's kind of fun to get a bunch of wines that you haven't tasted from different regions, maybe that you haven't been to before. And you know, sometimes there's some stinkers, but sometimes you find a real gold wine and go, wow, this wine is terrific, and you become a fan of that wine, and you try some of the other varietals as well.
Yeah, you know, rarely are you going to come across something that is totally undrinkable.
Right.
And you know, I think it's really fun to go to those type of places and not just try, you know, different varietals, but you know, maybe there are wineries that you're sort of familiar with, but you've never had an opportunity to taste that.
Right.
I think Grocery Outlet is a fantastic place.
Here's something from Santa Barbara. Here's something from Monterey. Here's an Oregon wine.
Exactly.
And so it kind of opens up your palate to a lot of different wine experiences that maybe you haven't had a chance to go to that region or that AVA.
Exactly, exactly. So, you know, taking advantage of those type of things, and again, not feeling bad about it.
I feel like that bottle is taking advantage of you, my
This
friend.
bottle is going to be... Fortunately, it's going to be worth the effort that we're putting into it.
Well, we can only hope. And here we go.
Okay, I feel it's close, but I'm going to have to stand up. And
yeah. I mean, do what you got to do. You know, you've got a mission.
I know. And
you've got a mission
here.
And
I'm just really hoping that this is not going to end up on the blooper reel. So
I have a feeling it's going to.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I do have a feeling.
I wish there were outtakes.
This might be a holiday favorite for everybody. Here, we're going to see what Jeremy does. Okay. And he got the bottle of wine at Costco.
At Costco.
And you don't think Costco when you think wine. He did it. He did it.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Way to go.
Let's pour just a little bit here.
All right. Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah. And, you know, what's kind of nice is a Spanish Tempranillo Rioja. The Rioja is the region.
Okay.
And, you know, usually a little lighter bodied, a little less alcohol, lower alcohol, I should say, so about 13.5. And this is something that's really pleasant. It'll go with just about everything.
Okay.
Especially your Mediterranean meals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some pasta, huh?
Yeah, actually, with a light red sauce, this will be good with it. You know, for me...
Steak, chicken, kind of everything?
Yeah, for me, I do it all. You know, I just, you know, we like to pair wines initially by the proteins, you know, white with chicken and fish, red. Yeah. And I think one of the great things that's happened in the culinary world is we've really mixed up cooking and made cooking much more acceptable and easier, or I should say accessible.
Right.
So we made it a lot easier. And so now I think that we have we kind of pair wines with flavors rather than proteins.
Yeah, to me that seems to have been a wave that's happened, say, in the last decade or so.
Absolutely.
Where before it was white with fish and chicken and red with meat. And,
you know, with something like this, I would easily pair this with a salmon. Maybe not whitefish, but definitely salmon.
I like that. That's a good choice.
Yeah, and it's really light on the palate. Very easy. It's not nothing too heavy. So, you know, with this, you know, depending on how you're making your chicken, with turkey would be absolutely fantastic.
Right. Well, I think, you know, you just taught us a lesson, and that's that sometimes, even as we're thinking about buying wine, we're thinking about the big things, that big winery that we know and love, and that $50 or more bottle of wine. When there are some bargains out there, there are some other wines that you can kind of check out and it kind of expand your taste and your palate.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. You know, wine doesn't necessarily have to be an expensive thing.
Right.
You know, and don't get me wrong, there are lots of amazing wines.
Oh,
that
totally. Yeah.
Do deserve the premium that you're paying for them, and yet there's also just the everyday wine that just is easygoing. And just part of everyday life.
Yeah,
so, And so I think we should, in that case, I do think we should drink and treat wine much more like beer.
Yeah, cheers. What a great idea.
Something
what a great
idea.
Yeah. And I think the thing is why don't you put below where you've kind of found your wine bargains? You know, maybe there's some places out there that we haven't even thought of that might have some great wines.
You know, definitely Costco is a fun thing to check out. And you have to check that out on because their stock changes, you know, almost daily.
Yeah,
and there are some times you can go in and get premium bottles of wine in the $10 to even under $20 range. That'll absolutely knock you out. And more than anything else, both of those places are a great place just to you know, take an adventure, try new wines, maybe regions you haven't heard of, varietals that you're not familiar
all
with.
kinds of things, and just kind of
Yeah.
experiment and have some fun. Where I think sometimes you spend so much on that bottle of wine that you're not looking to experiment at all.
Right, yeah, I
You're,
mean-
you're going to go with what you know.
Absolutely, and definitely there's a difference, and there's a place for tasting wine versus
Right.
drinking wine.
Right.
And
right.
I think that we shouldn't confuse the two.
Well, I think there can be everyday wine, which is meaning I'm relaxing, having a glass of wine tonight with dinner.
Exactly.
And it's a normal dinner. It's not anything fancy. It's just relaxing in the evening after a long day at work or whatever. And then there's special occasion wine. There's,
Absolutely.
this is a special dinner. It's Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's, Christmas or whatever. You're obviously going to want a different wine for those type of occasions
sure.
than
Absolutely.
you would, hey, I'm just having dinner on a Monday.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So some great ideas as Jeremy always brings it. Tell everybody where they can find you.
They can find me mostly on Instagram right now, Existential Wine Guy.
Right.
You can find me on Facebook, and you can find me online at Existential Wine Guy.
Right. He's all over
.com.
the place. He is all over
and
the
I'm
place.
goofing off a lot.